guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. It is another sit and chat video, but today's video is a bit more, will I say, knowledgeable, or giving information. This might not appeal to my audience, but a while back, I think either last year, I did a video on this topic in my other channel because I got a question about it, and I just did a little video about it. But since then, I have been getting loads of questions in my Instagram message about this particular topic, and I feel like, okay, I'm gonna make a video address it then, because I feel like I keep repeating the same question. Like, people will come and ask me what somebody else has asked me. So in this, if I make this video, if somebody ask me the question, I can just refer them to the video so they can watch it and get the information that they need. So bear with me if this is not our usual video, but it's one of those videos that has been on my mind to make, and I feel like I have been putting it off to make because it's not my niche, it's not within my circle of things that I make video about. But being that we're all here to help each other out, why not? Anyway, the topic is what you must know if you're coming over to Europe to seek asylum. I'm going to be talking about specifically here, Ireland, because that is where I know so much about. I would not generally know a lot about other EU country, but I'm going to be using here as an example. So in the video that I made before, I talked about when you come here to seek asylum, you have to first of all declare yourself. Anyway, once seeking asylum, if you're coming into a country and you don't have a residency, you don't have student visa, you don't have working visa, you don't have family unification. Family unification is where one of your family member is here and put your paper through to bring you over. It can be your husband, your mother, your father. Okay. If you don't have any of those, and if you're not what did they call the other one? I don't know the English word for it, but I'll try and explain it. If you're not here based on you applied a job and the government of Ireland was looking for, let's say in nursing, they're always looking for people to come and cover up in nursing. If you're not here based on the government employing you to come over here to work, then you need a residency when you arrive here. So let's say if you're coming here to stay, your plan is to live and work here, and you don't have any papers, you don't have any residency, you don't have anybody to give you residency, then your only option for you to remain in that country is for you to seek asylum. So in that video, I talked about when you come over here seeking asylum, you have to first of all declare yourself at the airport that you are seeking asylum. Okay, let's say you have declared yourself and the authority has taken you, and they will first of all take you to Department of Justice. There's a big office for it, where you now go and register yourself as somebody who is here to seek asylum. They will register you on the system, take all your detail, take your fingerprint, and they will first of all check that you have not seek asylum in other EU country. If you have seek asylum in other EU country and come over here to seek asylum, they will take you back to that particular first country, because you must seek asylum in the first country that you landed. That is the law. If you're going out to seek asylum somewhere and maybe your plan is to come to London, and you first of all landed in Northern Ireland, that is where you must seek asylum. So they first of all check, because your fingerprint, they will take out your fingerprint and they will check that you have not declared yourself, you have not seek asylum in any other country. So after that, here there's something called direct division. Other places I have heard of refugee camp, but in Ireland what we have is direct division. So once you have registered yourself in the system that you're here to seek asylum, they will take you and they will put you in direct division. If you're an adult in direct division, you'll be sharing a room. You'll be sharing a room maybe with two other adults, sometimes with one other adult. But if you're not, and if you are married and you come over here with your kids or your husband, then you guys will be given one room. So the process of seeking asylum, now you have put yourself in the system, they're going to arrange a multiples of interviews to determine if you are qualified to be a refugee. Remember, a refugee is somebody that is running out of their country, or something is chasing you from your country. Something dramatic, something life threatening has to be chasing you out of your country in order for you to become a refugee. For us, if you're Nigerian, for us Nigerian, we don't really qualify as a refugee, because nothing is chasing us out of our country apart from economic crisis. Okay, so they will arrange a multiples of interview for you to. They will bring you in an office, and then maybe 2 people will sit. Your lawyer, they will provide a lawyer for you. The state will provide a lawyer for you, and they will sit, and then you tell them the whole story of why you are now, of why you declared yourself a refugee. What is your threat? What is making you run over here to take refuge? What is your problem, basically? So that is your first interview. Anyway, that your first interview is to determine if you are a refugee. Okay, if that interview comes back, and this takes like 1 year, 8 months, sometimes a year and a half. Let's say if you do your interview today, they're not going to tell you yesterday. It will take, if you're lucky, it will take 6 months. If you're not, if you take 8 months, a year. Some people will be waiting for that interview for like 2 years, 1 year and a half. And then if that interview comes back and say, no, we have understand that because of the case, because of the story that you're giving to us, your case is not actually qualified to be a refugee. Now they will ask you, do you want to appeal? You can say yes, you want to appeal. Then they will give you a big form. You write your why you're appealing or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Your lawyer will file in the form that you are appealing. So each form takes at least 6 months for them to call you for hearing, because they will file the form. You wait like 6 months, 3 months, 5 months, and then they will call you to come and sit down again and appeal your case. So the refugee, if they say no, then you go for your appeal. So when your lawyer filed the form, and when they call you back in either 6 months or whatever to hear your appeal case again, and you tell them why you're appealing, why you think your case is a refugee case, blah blah blah. And after listening to that again, you're gonna go off, and they will go off again for another 8 months, a year and a half, 2 years, and they will digest the story again and see if your appealing for the case makes sense. If they come back and say, no, we're not giving you a refugee, your appeal does not, whatever, it is not a refugee standard, your case is not qualified to be a refugee. Now they will now give you another form. Remember, as you're doing this, years are going, times are going, everything is flying by. And they will give you another form to apply for leave to remain in the state. Leave to remain based on you have been a good person, just give a reason basically why they should leave you to remain in the state, because you're clearly not qualified to be a refugee. Your case is not a refugee, but if you have gone on to other and you're a refugee and your case is a refugee, they will give you the refugee status, and you can, get on with your life and get your life in order, move out of the direct division and start living like other human beings on this planet. But if you're still doing your process whereby they refuse your refugee and they refuse your appeal for the refugee, then they will now ask you to apply for your leave to remain. You have to then tell them why should they leave you to remain in the state. Why, have you been a good citizen? Have you done this? Have you done that? There must be a reason for them to leave you in the state. And at this point, they will now ask you to get Irish citizen to sign a signature, saying, who you are, what you are. And majority of the time, people advise you to get into the community, do some form of voluntary work to the charity store, or anything, any place you can volunteer your time and your energy. And because when it comes to that point, and they now ask you to get people to sign for you to say that you're qualified to remain in the state, like you're a good person, like something that will make them to leave you in the state. And yeah, remember, time flies as you're doing this. Like, you have done your refugee and you have appealed your refugee status. By this time you have stayed in direct division like close to 3 years, and now when this come back and is no, and they are asking you to apply for them leave to remain in the state, time is going. Now you apply and you get people to sign your form, sign, put their signature saying that, okay, you're a fantastic person, you're good to the community, you're blah 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 and all that, and then your lawyer will file that off again, and you cross your fingers and hope that it will come back okay. And time is going. This other form will also take 8 months, 1 year, 2 years. I've seen people sitting and waiting for 2 years to get their reply back from the government. So this take a long amount of time, and at this time you have also stayed about 5 years or 5 years and in direct division waiting to hear yes or no. And the waiting game is, I know people have said the waiting game is what kills people, because the person that is in prison knows when their sentence is over. You don't know. You're just waiting day by day to get yes or no. So if this final one you have filed comes back and is a no, this is when they will now say, listen, we're gonna deport you, your case is not that strong, blah blah blah, and then they will issue you a deportation letter. Okay, so all this thing I have explained to some people get it in immediately they do their refugee status interview. Some people will get it, and some people might get it after they have appealed for their refugee status, and some people might even get it in their leave to remain and all that. I think you have also appealed for leave to remain, if I can remember. I think you appealed for that, I'm not sure, but if they ask you to appeal for that, yeah, then gladly appeal for it as well. All this take time. Some people get it, some people don't. I have seen people in the direct division that have stayed in the direct for 7 years, 8 years, 5 years, 6 years. Usually when the system started, they said it's a system that will take 1 year, 8 months, 2 years. But people are now in direct division 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. It takes time. The process, I think times is what kills people, because it takes a huge amount of time, and by this time you're getting old and time is going. And until last year, if you're seeking a refugee in Ireland, you're not allowed to work. You're not allowed. You don't have any identification card. You don't have any. The only card you have is your asylum seeking card, and it will have your your number and your name, and at the back of that card they will write it, this is not an ID card. You're not allowed to use this as an ID card. So it's not an ID card. It's not identification card. You don't, I feel like seeking asylum, you're in the country, but you're not in the country. You can only be fully in the country until you get your residency. Before last year, if you're seeking asylum, you're not allowed to work. If you're an adult, you can't further your education, because the government would not sponsor you to further your education. You're not qualified to apply for anything. And then if you're a woman, or if you're a man, and if you have, let's say if you have both of you are a couple, if you have a baby while you're seeking asylum, that baby will join you guys, continue to seek asylum. If you're a single person and you have a baby with somebody who doesn't have their residency, who is still on the same category as you, that baby will still be seeking asylum with you. I've seen people get deported with the baby they have here in Ireland. The only time that as a person seeking asylum that you will have a baby, and that baby have an Irish passport, is if you have that baby with somebody that already has their residency, and their residency is a full stamp for residency, and it has passed 3 years that person has that residency, or you had that baby with somebody that have Irish passport. That is the only way your baby that you born in a direct division can get their passport. But if you just have your baby with somebody who is also seeking asylum, then that baby is not qualified to get Irish passport, that baby will seek asylum with you guys. If you guys get yes in your asylum, yeah, that baby will stay with, get their paper from your name. But if you guys get no, that they're gonna deport, they will also deport that baby that was born in Ireland with you guys home. So the only thing I'm gonna say is that it takes a whole lot of time in seeking asylum. It consumes time passes, and people are just sitting down doing nothing in direct division, waiting for their yes or no. The government is giving, before, I know now it's 20 something euro now, but before the government was giving 19 10 cent 19 euro 10 cent a weekly weekly money to anybody seeking asylum, which is absolutely nothing, But last year, a new law came out that people seeking asylum are allowed to work some certain amount of hours, but that rule they have not yet granted it to everybody. They have just issued it to some people, and they have not yet granted it to the whole people seeking asylum. So before last year, because there was a campaign about it, there was a protest about it, saying how these people are just sitting in direct division and losing their mind, because you're just constantly sitting there doing nothing. You're just sitting waiting for your paper, waiting for a yes or no answer, waiting. You just see, as an adult, your mind is just in a depressed state. So that is the main thing I want to address. When you're seeking asylum, it takes a whole amount of time. It's not something you're gonna seek today and get in 6 months or get in 8 months. If you're lucky, if you're one of those people that get it when when you apply for your refugee status and you qualified, your country qualified under the refugee status law, because your country, something very terrible has drive you out of your country, then you will qualify immediately for a refugee status. But if you're just coming from some place like Nigeria, like me, and nothing is chasing you, there is no war, there is nothing going on, you're just out here because of the economic crisis is killing us over there, and our leaders are so corrupt. Yeah, you have enough reason, but that will not get you a refugee status. It's not a reason to get you a refugee. You're not seen as somebody who's a refugee. Anyway, guys, this is what I have to say. And then in direct division, your food is provided for you. They will give you food. You come down to there's a big dining room where you come down. When it's breakfast, you come down there, you get breakfast. When it's lunch, you come down there, you get lunch. When it's dinner time, you come down there to get. You're not cooking for yourself. You're not allowed to cook for yourself. They will give you food. So if you just coming from Nigeria or Africa and you're used to your fufu, forget it. Nobody's making you fufu. You're now gonna start eating Irish food. So they're not allowing you to cook. They're gonna provide food for you every day. You will provide food, which is good. Okay, so now if you have any other question regardless to this, if you're one of those people that is messaging me on Instagram, if you have any other question that I did not touch about, then feel free to ask me down below. I will be glad to answer. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you all on my next one. Bye.